Hello and welcome to Voices of Westerly, a new podcast from the United Theater featuring conversations, many of which are recorded in front of a live audience, with the creative and professional individuals who make Westerly, Rhode Island such a unique and inspired community of leaders, innovators, and artists. I'm your host, Tony Nunes, Artistic Director of the United Theater, here in the beautiful downtown arts district of Westerly, Rhode Island. The Voices of Westerly series is inspired by Westerly photographer and artist Josh Behan, who created a Faces of Westerly portrait series, which we premiered here a couple of years ago at the United and is now on permanent display and rotation in our halls. Voices of Westerly live discussions will take place monthly in our post-credit scene event space here at the United. And our second guest today is President of the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Please welcome up Bruce Flax. Okay, how are you, Bruce?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. We just had a great event with you here at the United. We just did a business after hours event. You have your amazing mail truck turned ice cream truck parked right behind us on the street, like kind of glowing, right? It's kind of beautiful.
My labor of love.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
Right.
But first, I want to start. So this is Voices of Westerly. We usually have people from Westerly with Westerly connections. I brought you on because the work that you do with the Chamber very much translates and exists here in Westerly. Yep. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that work. But first, you don't live in Westerly.
I don't.
But what is your Westerly origin story from the Chamber perspective? How does Westerly fit in your mission for the Chamber, and how does this region and Westerly in particular fit together in that kind of vision of this entire region as a destination, an amazing destination?
Well, Westerly for me is not underestimating. It's a really wonderful place to come, and it has so much going on with it. And when I moved here in 1994 from Massachusetts, and to get for a job at Foxwoods, and I went to Westerly first, and then I went to Mystic, and I ended up just choosing Mystic. But Westerly is super important. Just places like the United and what the food scene and the people and the uniqueness about the places and the people draw us here. And so, of course, the beach is always a place to want to go. But I call it almost like when I come from Mystic and we take the family and go to like Napa and go to Watch Hill, it's like a micro vacation for us. You know, it's like being able to get away and go to a beach and walk out on, if we can find a parking space, but walk out on a beach that's, that it's just, the sunsets are amazing, and they're special times. And I have 5 kids, and there's nothing we like more than going down there and walking out and catching the sunset. So Westerly has a great connection for us.
So you said you moved to this area how many years ago? 90...
December of 94.
Okay. And previously you worked in the entertainment business, sort of, right, with Foxwoods?
Yeah, so I started... It's funny. I only tell only because it's funny. Kids should listen. Like, I decided on summer during college to live on Cape Cod, and went into the radio station and said, "Oh, do you have any internships?" And they're like, "No, but go to that theater down the street." So I was 19 years old, and I got a job at the Cape Cod Melody Tent. It's still there, the oldest existing tent theater in the country. And I worked 5 years there, and I ended up working in entertainment for 34 years after that, like mostly in ticketing, and then 28 years at Foxwoods.
And how does that work in entertainment translate to what you're doing today with the Chamber? I mean, the connection has to be pretty clear.
It's super helpful. Like when I living in Groton in Mystic, I was on the town council for 9 years, and I was mayor for a couple of years during the time I was working at Foxwoods. And at Foxwoods, I was director of ticketing, and so. You know, for whatever reason, you know why, you meet everybody. I know everybody. Everybody wants a ticket, you know, so they would call, and I'd know everybody in town and around the area. And one of my mantras was to never say no. So if somebody called for tickets, I always helped them out. And so that translated very well from the like being the mayor and having those connections at Foxwoods in the community, and then coming into the Chamber. It was great to be able to come back home because I've lived here longer than I was in Massachusetts, and be able to help the community and businesses, and it's something that just is really, it's deep in me.
So can we talk a little bit about the ice cream truck? And,
Twist my arm.
And so this ice cream truck, which is beautiful. First of all, I mean, the artwork on this alone is gorgeous. What is this vision behind this? How did you come up with this idea, and how is this going to guide your mission for the chamber and become kind of a portable, moving chamber of commerce?
Yeah,
I mean,
like it's like a traveling visitor center.
Batmobile.
And so when I first took over the chamber, we were over by the seaport in a house, and we had a visitor center that people could walk into. And when I took over, we had to move out of the visitor center. We couldn't afford it, and we ended up a block from the bridge in Mystic on the second floor above Smith Plumbing. And we put a brochure rack up there and said we're a visitor center, but nobody really came up the flight of stairs to see us. And so my vision in trying to market and to save money was to try to find, I used to say, it's like a truck with character, like an ice cream truck. I was always thinking the old hood trucks. And then we would brand it the Greater Mystic Chamber and the Southeastern region, and we would park it downtown and help people. And then we would drive it to events and promote the whole region as a whole. And so I was fortunate, during COVID, coming out, there was federal money that came out, and I went to the towns of Stonington and Groton and ended up getting $37,000 in COVID money. And so I ended up, looking for an ice cream truck that was viable, and ended up on eBay, and with a guy in Houston who had a business called Thrilla and Vanilla. And so I was bidding on it, and I got outbid, and it really was above what we could pay. And he wrote me after the auction was over and said, some of these really don't pan out, so stay tuned. And so the person who bought it didn't buy it, and we ended up getting it, and we had to transport it up here. And it started the whole journey of trying to figure it out. And so we had it repaired, which, buying a truck from 2,000 miles away and believing the owner, is a stretch. But we ended up getting it. Some great people stepped up and helped us. And then we reached out. We kind of went for a call for an artist, and we ended up with Abby Park, who I met at the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival, and she did a print for us for the bridge anniversary. And we said, why don't we're just going to focus with you, Abby, if you don't mind. And so we worked with her. We kind of explained what our vision was, and she came through with the map and the other side and worked it together. And then we outfitted the truck, and my goal was to march it in the Irish Parade, March 23rd, I think it was, and we did it.
And where can people find this beautiful truck?
So the truck daily is parked in my driveway.
Okay. And what's your address? No, I'm just kidding.
But I bring it downtown, and we're going to bring it to events like tonight, and we're going to bring it to things like the Big E, and we're going to bring it to like parts of Connecticut, and I'm sure Rhode Island, and just promote and just try to let people know how great this area is. And the chamber. We with the truck we've kind of said we're Niantic, we're Misquamicut to Niantic, and people look at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, listen, we're the #1 tourist attraction in the state, and there's tens of thousands of people who come here, and they don't know about Westerly, right? They don't know about the United Theater, and they don't know about the Guard Theater, and they don't know that there's a great beach here, and there's great restaurants here. So that's what our mission is. Our mission is to let people know about everything that's going on within a 10-mile radius of Mystic, and then and maybe it'll stay 7 days instead of 3.
It is a weirdly close-knit community, with all of those towns: Stonington, Mystic, Westerly, New London, Niantic. I mean, it is a region. I know some people call it the ocean community, and it has all kinds of names, but it really is kind of a package deal. So when you're out there with the truck and you're pitching this area, how would you pitch your ideal weekend?
Ooh, there really is so much to do that I would, I'd visit the arts. I'd make sure we hit the beach. I'd check out a little history. There's some great history in Groton and in New London. I would also make sure that people know what Soupy is. and try to get a taste of that. And so it really, and I would suggest that you stay for a week instead of a weekend because there's that much to do.
That's a good answer. Very diplomatic. What new things since you've come on? How long have you been with the chamber?
This is my fourth year.
Fourth year. So, but you've been in this area, working in this area for a while. What are you noticing as the trends for this entire region of change and growth and new types of businesses coming in, new entertainment attractions? What does that look like from your point of view, doing the job that you do?
Yeah, I think that coming out of COVID, the area as a whole was fortunate because we were an outdoor area that people could visit and walk around and didn't have to, if they wanted to go into a store, they might throw a mask on, but it was like, it's a really inviting area. And what grew out of that was people coming on short trips from all over, because we're equidistant really from Boston and from New York City. So there was a tremendous amount of people, both in-state and out-of-state, who really latched on to the Mystic area, including Westerly. And so what grew out of one of the things that grew out of that was it being a foodie destination. And it's really capped by the fact that the James Beard Award finalists, there's 2 in the state of Connecticut, and they're both from Mystic, Renee Toussaint and David Sandridge. And, from the Port of Call and for the Shipwright's Daughter, that right there is just an enormous statement. And it's not just them, it's the food that's elevated, and from over here in Westerly as well. With the restaurants that have popped up and are coming up are making it again, giving that reason for people to stay. As far as the what people come and want to see, it's easy to say, but something like the United and the arts that they have here, and the diversity that they have, is incredible. Same with the Guard. Same with the theaters that are popping up, not popping up, but that are here and are producing shows that are selling out. And part of what I feel good about in terms of the chamber is that we're able to help get the word out about those theaters and tell people what's going on. So I've seen there's a big increase in outdoor activities, and there's so much of it to go around. The aquarium, the seaport, they're also finding new ways to bring people, and they're changing the way that they do things, and they're connecting in different ways that weren't done before.
Do you find that the food tourism piece is growing and more people are kind of flocking to destinations based on that volume of restaurants and quality of restaurants and experiences beyond the restaurants, like going to Stoneacre Farm or even here we do events that are talks and interactive kind of food entertainment experiences?
Yeah, no, they're growing immensely. Even with you guys doing the kale event and the oysters, and there's the restaurants are coming and pairing local breweries with Chef's Choice, and so there. I think we know that as a food destination, people do visit, and I think we're going to see that grow this year based on what's happening in the area.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of partnerships going on in all of these communities, and they're amazing because they're tying the communities together. They're bringing people from Stonington into Westerly into Mystic. It's kind of like the rising tide, floats all ships thing. Yeah. You said you got a little pushback when you took the Mystic idea a little beyond Mystic. Yep. Do you find that people are gravitating more towards that vision now, that it's kind of more focused and clear, and that the ties from those partnerships are coming into fruition?
So I think at our core, we're all New Englanders, and that's a Yankee mentality, and everybody has these, when you look at the government in Groton, there's 3 police departments. It's just crazy what we have. Having said that, I do see more acceptance. I do see people understanding that, there's business owners down here in Westerly who are like, yeah, we're gonna join the Mystic Chamber. And my point is not to take away from anybody, really. I think that what everybody provides are benefits, and they elevate the area, and we can all do that. So I think there are people who kind of raise an eyebrow and say, why don't you go back to Mystic? But we're winning them over, and I think that they see that they recognize that we do, that we really have everybody's best interest at heart.
Yeah, I mean, we try that same thing here. The more people working together, the better, and it pays dividends. It works.
Yeah, I would say that like even having like the business after hours here tonight, and Carly asked, how many people had never been here, and I was floored that a good 2/3 to 3/4 had never been here.
Me too.
That's making, that's delivering. That is mixing the communities and getting people to come out
and
who may never.
And that's the point.
Exactly.
That's why we do all of this work. Just going back to the food thing for a minute. What's your favorite restaurant? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna ask that question. Don't worry. Put you on the spot here. Do you find that a lot of businesses, not just restaurants and things like that, but larger businesses are kind of gravitating and moving towards this area as well?
I would say that they're looking. I think that from a real estate perspective, it's harder to find those places. But I will also say that some of the bigger businesses that have been in the area have found us. And it's been, where you take somebody like Electric Boat, who, they're huge and they're an integral part of the community, but they were more tied to, for lack of better words, let's say bigger chambers, right? And we found them, we talked to them, and they see that we're raising the event stakes here and we're getting more people. So I'm seeing one of my goals is to reach outside of Mystic and show them what we have and what we can deliver for them. So we've seen that happen. So I think that's kind of related to it.
So I end all of these kind of conversations the same way. I ask the question, it's a legacy question. And in 5 years, what do you want the work that you've done to mean to the communities that you're doing that work in? And what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to remember of that work? And how do you want that work to kind of shape what the community is becoming?
Yeah. I think for the chambers, for me, it's uniting everybody. That in 5 years, if nobody did raise an eyebrow, and everybody kind of viewed the communities around here, and not just Westerly, Stonington, Groton, but New London and Niantic, and even like Charleston, even places in Rhode Island that we just become bigger, and so in 5 years there's just more communication and more sharing and having everybody not have those silos up, but have the silos down.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Bruce, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Give it up for Bruce.
Appreciate it. Great.
Thanks for tuning in to the United Theater Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to subscribe to our show so you never miss an episode. And if you could take a moment to leave a review, we'd greatly appreciate it. Your feedback helps us create content that you love. So hit that subscribe button and leave us a review, and we'll see you on the next episode.